PWCC is a great way to sell your sports cards. If you're looking for a way to support the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel, consider using the promo code Cajun, all caps, CAJUN, when you're selling your cards on the PWCC marketplace. Oh my gosh, we're doing a live stream and it was not announced and we're going to have nobody in here. And so, Jonathan, I don't know. Have you ever done a live stream? Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
I mean, not with me,
Yes.
but I'm saying,
Yes.
yeah, I feel like you have because you've done some other local podcasts, some sports talk radio crap and stuff like that. So you've probably done some live stream stuff.
Yep.
So I've done a couple of them. They're fun, man. They're fun. But one thing that I've learned is you shouldn't decide to do your live stream like 4 minutes before it starts because no one will be in the room. So there's a decent chance, we may have 7 people that join us here and there. And then once they hear what we're talking about, they may leave. But I figured it's like a free shot, right? It's a free bite at the apple. If somebody does come in and they're engaged and they're enjoying it, that's great. And if they're not, then it's no different than us just hitting a regular recorded video and doing it the way we always did it. Today's topic, I should probably get to the point, is we're going to do a little kind of a whip around the Western Conference today in this live stream format when everybody should be at work working, but maybe somebody will jump in here and have some fun with us. So we're going to do Western Conference today, all 15 teams. Each of us are going to have sort of a thought about the team. It could be good, bad, a particular player, a direction they're heading, historical thought, whatever. We're going to go through the 15 Western Conference teams, starting at the bottom and then working our way up. And then tomorrow, I think we're going to shoot again for 1 p.m. Central, same exact time. And we're going to do a live stream where we pop through the Eastern Conference teams, 15 through 1. Does that sound like a plan?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right, so let's get to it. First, let me ask you a trivia question first, okay? So I want you to tell me what these players have in common. Are you ready?
Yes.
Charles Bassey, Mamadi Diakite, David Duke, Sandro Mamukelashvili, Dominic Barlow, Devontae Graham, Doug McDermott, Blake Wesley, Saidi Sissoko, Julian Champagny.
They have all
You don't know, so I know you don't know.
Missed more threes than points scored.
While that might be true, and while they also might all be on my all pronunciation team, they're all on the Spurs roster.
Nice.
So I just named 10 people and you didn't know who they were. So that tells you that we're starting at the bottom. And so we're starting at the bottom, baby. Did you think the Spurs would be in last place at this point in the season?
Yes.
In the Western Conference?
Yes,
I did too. And it's not by accident. It's by design, right? And so what we're doing here is we're just kind of going through. I've got the depth charts pulled up. I've got the basketball reference pulled up if we need it. I've got my notes pulled up. I've got the standings in the NBA pulled up. Team number 1, we each got a thought, and we'll just kind of bounce them back and forth. San Antonio Spurs ranked number 15th in the West. They came out of the gates guns blazing. If I recall, they were like 3-2 or something crazy like that, and people were like, damn, Wemby's going to have a LeBron-type difference and make a difference. No, there's just not enough around him, dude. They're 5-27, and they have lost 2 in a row, which is probably 12 out of 13 or something crazy. I know they went on a crazy losing streak, but I think it kind of got swept under the rug because the Pistons was so bad. The Pistons streak was so much worse, and we'll get to them tomorrow for sure. San Antonio Spurs. Let's each come up with one thought. I've got a note. I made one note about every team. So why don't we go with you first? Tell me what you think about the Spurs. What's your thought on the Spurs? Anything.
Both related to Wembanyama because it's the only thing that matters at this point. Number 1, I am shocked, but I do not believe he's going to win Rookie of the Year. And number 2, I do not understand why they insist on listing him at 7'4" when I just saw a picture of him standing next to Tim Duncan and David Robinson, and he looks like he's 8 feet tall.
He can't be 7. Here's why he can't be 7'4". Did you see the other night when he took the ball and went Statue of Liberty and he was going to finger roll it, and he's like, wait a second, I'm like a foot and a half above the rim. Let me just turn it over real quick and look like a freaking alien out of Space Jam and then just drop this bitch in the goal.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's special. Your thought is basically, I cannot believe he's putting up these numbers and he's not in the lead for Rookie of the Year. And that's, I'll spoiler alert.
Shouldn't be.
My point, no, shouldn't be. Because everything he's doing Chet Holmgren's doing the same thing, only he's doing it more efficiently. And I watched that Celtics Thunder game last night, and I was texting back and forth with you, and then you started to ignore me like you always do.
I went to sleep.
But
because
I text too often.
I went to sleep. No, I just went to sleep.
You went to sleep. Okay, so you're even older than I am.
You're the one who goes to sleep, but I went to sleep tonight. Yeah.
You went to sleep on me last night. Usually, I'm the one who's like, I just got this text. It's like 5 in the morning. I was like, I was asleep at 8:30. No, I watched the whole thing last night, and because I really wanted to see it, because it was my team, the Celtics, that I think has the most talented roster in the NBA, and I think they have the best chance to win the title versus the team that I'm most excited about. And I can't believe I'm saying it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. Again, we're getting sidetracked already. But the Thunder now remind me of the Thunder then.
Yeah,
not necessarily the constituent parts, but how the whole league was like, oh, shit. Yep. There is something serious coming. Yep. And then, of course, Sam Presti, the genius, fucked all that up. So we'll see what happens here with this go-round with the Thunder. They can't fuck this up. As long as they don't just trade everybody away, they can't fuck this up. Right. And we're going to talk about the Thunder more in just a second, because I've got a really good question that I want to ask you and kind of get you to weigh in on them. So both of our thoughts is Wembanyama's doing, fantastic numbers. He's not having the LeBron type impact. Is that just because of the position he plays? Is it because he weighs 107 pounds? Is it because just the freaking guys around him are just so goddamn bad that it's just unprecedented bad?
Yeah, first of all, I think that if you went back and looked at LeBron's first-year Cavs roster, it was horrible, but not like this.
No.
And then secondly, LeBron physically was more ready at that point than Wembanyama is. So, no, I don't think it's – I mean, LeBron averaged 20.
He's also a primary ball handler. That's a big difference. It's much harder for a center to come in and do these things when, you could double a center every time he touches the ball. You can't double a 6'8" point guard in the middle of the floor.
Yeah, but you say that, he's not having the same impact. Statistically, it's really close, if not more, because LeBron only averaged 20.
Yeah, I meant wins. I meant wins and losses.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, dude, this is a G League roster at best. I mean,
let me just ask you this question. I'm going to give you their starting lineup. Well, how about this? I'm going to name every other player on the team. You tell me when I get to a player who is a better than average starter at his position. Are you ready?
Well, you won't get one. You won't get two. So
okay, well, I already named 10, so we know they weren't because you didn't even know who they were. Right. Jeremy Sohan, better than average NBA allegedly point guard.
No.
20. I would say he's the 29th or 30th best NBA starter. I'm talking about starters.
Yeah, right. I got you.
Okay. He's not a starting point guard by any stretch. Malachi Branham, better than average starting shooting guard? No chance.
No.
Devin Vassell is the closest you're going to get to an average NBA starting small forward. And I'll be honest with you, I just don't think he is.
Was he in the top 15 small forwards in the league?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he is a top 15 small forward in the league. I like him. I think he's a nice piece. I think it would be awesome to have Devin Vassell as your guy coming off the bench as your sixth man, but I don't think Devin Vassell needs to be the leading scorer and or second leading scorer on your NBA team if you plan to be successful. And then Julian Champagnie, I don't know. And then some people are gonna hate me and scream at the screen, all 10 people that are in here, because I say Keldon Johnson's not an average NBA starter at the power forward or small forward position either. He's just not. He's just not an efficient player. He's not conducive to winning. He doesn't create for others. No. He's not a great shooter. Yeah, I agree. Glenn just chimed in, and Glenn's an awesome collector and a good subscriber, and he watches the show pretty consistently. And Glenn, I agree. He does have nice potential, but right now, if right now you put me on the clock and I had to throw my money down on the table, he ain't a top 15. He's not a better than average small forward, but I like him long term. But I mean, he's not the one you're going to build around. So there's no other foundational pieces. Do you think the Spurs have the least amount of talent of any team in the NBA outside of Wemby? Obviously, Wemby changes everything. But if you just took Wemby off that team, are they less talented than, say, Jonathan? Let's say the Pistons without Cade Cunningham, or let's say the Wizards, or let's say the Hornets. Those are the four that come to mind as the shittiest talented teams in the league.
Or let's say any team that's ever played in the NBA. Yes, the answer.
You think this is the worst supporting cast of any supporting cast in the history of the NBA?
And I don't think it's close.
Really?
Not close. Look, Devin Vassell is, and I
That's
agree
a
with you. I think he has a chance. I think he has a chance to be a good NBA player. Okay, And I guarantee you could go find 5 to 7 NBA rosters, and the backup small forward you'd rather have than Devin Vassell.
That's probably true. That would be a fun exercise, but we don't have time today. All right, we're done with the Spurs. The deal with the Spurs is Wemby. My real point was not that Wemby might not win the Rookie of the Year. It's that Wemby and Chet are going to be compared forever because their body types are similar, their position is similar, the way they play is similar. The fact that they're sort of just anomalies is similar. Like, I watched Holmgren play against Porzingis, and yeah, Porzingis can shoot threes, and yes, Porzingis can block shots, and yes, Porzingis is 7'4" like Chet, or 7'3" or whatever, but he doesn't dribble the basketball like Chet Holmgren. He doesn't see the floor like Chet Holmgren. He doesn't have the same instincts on defense as Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren is a much better team defender and a team player and a ball mover. He's just a really, really high IQ dude. And I see a lot of the same stuff with Wembanyama as well. So those guys are going to be in a knockdown, drag out Rookie of the Year race. I think it's going to be closer than you think. And then just because the hype surrounding it. And then I think that those guys are going to be like inextricably linked throughout their entire career just because of what they look like and that they came in the league at the exact same time, basically. I know Chet missed the year, but you know what I mean? They're both rookies. So
yeah, the Bird Magic comparison was used the other day, but whoever used it, I can't remember. It was Zach Lowe maybe, and he even backed off. He's like, look, I'm not saying these guys are Bird Magic. He said, but I'm just think they're going to be linked like that. And I agree. I think that's going to be the case for sure. Look, ask yourself this question, and I know we're going to get to him, but who would you rather have today to win a game, Porzingis or Chet Holmgren? Chet Holmgren. Today.
Yeah, that's crazy, huh? That's crazy. He's like 11 years old, right? He's 7'4", 104 pounds. Yeah. Henry wants to know. He thought that the Lakers won the NBA championship a month ago because they got a banner hanging from the rafters. So he thought that they won the NBA championship. They did. LeBron got the not finals because it's only one game. Final MVP, right?
I don't even, man. Can we not talk about that? Can we?
All right, we're done with the Spurs. But yes, escrow analysis guru. Number one, you got to shorten that EAG. You got to shorten it to EAG. Wemby, I think Wemby is coming around. Wemby's doing what he needs to do, right? The question is, when are those folks in San Antonio going to shut his ass down,
right?
And just make sure that they win fewer games than the Pistons, because that's going to be an interesting race to follow. All right. The number 14 team, a team that we actually follow really close for a few reasons. Number one, I collect Damian Lillard basketball cards. Number two, I collected and still do Anthony Simons basketball cards. Number three, we love Skylar Mays. We got a chance to coach Skylar in middle school, high school, and then you get a chance to train him on a very regular basis. And he's a backup guard in and out of the rotation, depending on the moving pieces and injuries for the Portland Trailblazers. The Trailblazers, Jonathan, are in 14th place in the West. They are 9-23. What's your thought on the Trailblazers?
So they have to move Brogdon, and I know that is the goal. And so I think that and by the way, EAG, you're correct. Kobe would have never allowed that.
Never.
But I agree. Like, in other words, from a standpoint of the Blazers, when Brogdon is moved, it depends on what they get back. I just don't think they're going to get a lot back for him. And now they're relying on a bunch of guys who have proven they can't be the centerpiece on a winning team. Good players. Anthony Simons is a really good player. DeAndre Ayton's a good player. Jeremy Grant's a good player. But at the same time, like, where are we going with this?
Yeah, where are we going?
Yeah, I don't know. So that's what I would say is I don't know what they're doing exactly. I'm not sure.
I don't know what they're doing either, and I'm not sure they do. There's no doubt that when they picked up Brogdon, they intended to keep him moving, right? Like they did with Drew Holiday. I don't think it's going to be hard at all to move Brogdon. That should be really easy. The real question mark is, can they move Grant? Because his contract's a little more cumbersome and burdensome, and there's years attached to that thing, if I'm not mistaken, years and years. Yeah. So, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but getting back to the Thunder. Well, I don't want to get ahead. Let's just not get ahead yet, right? I like Jeremy Grant. I think he's a really good player. I think he would be an awesome fifth best player on a team that's trying to win a title. Fourth, fifth best player. In other words, he could be the Aaron Gordon for a team that Aaron Gordon is for the Nuggets, right? And I'm not saying Jeremy Grant's as good as Aaron Gordon. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know. Right. But it would be interesting to see him go play for a team that's competing. You know what I mean?
He averages 22-23 a game for his career, I think, almost. I mean,
No, yeah. I mean, and he's a plus defender. He's was better in the past. I'm not sure how much he cares about defending right now, but I got to believe you plug the guy into the Bucks, or you plug the guy in on the Thunder, or you plug him in on the Knicks, or just fill in the blank. I'm just saying, dude's going to probably buy in and play a little bit more defense than normal. Here's my I got two real quick thoughts on the Portland Trailblazers. Number one, Scoot Henderson worries me. He is reminding me a lot of Jaden Ivey. We talked about this a little bit before. I don't care what your body looks like. And by the way, he looks like a freaking demigod. I don't care how high you can jump. Look at Trotter coming in strong. David Trotter, another OG with the channel, Jonathan. Yes, we do need to do this more often. But I'm a very important person. Jonathan, Coach Pixley probably messaged me at least twice a day trying to get on live streams with me, and I'm really important. I don't really know how else to say it. No, we do need to do this more often. He's right. Scoot worries me that he can't shoot a basketball is what I'm getting at. He looks the part. He's a high draft choice, and I know we're 32 games into his NBA career, and he's been hurt 12 or 13 of them. I just worry his shooting looks really spotty, like really, really spotty.
Is he Jalen Suggs? Is he?
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, that's where I look at it too. And I think Suggs has a chance to be a serviceable pro, but that's not what they drafted Scoot Henderson to be.
Suggs has a chance to be Avery Bradley.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Avery Bradley in every single possible manner and way. Here is you ready for Scoot Henderson splits? Are you ready for this? I'm not sure you are.
Let's go.
37, 28, 78 with a PER. Are you ready for this? 7.
Yeah.
The average NBA PER is 15.
Yeah, exactly. I would have thought he would have been lower field goal percentage overall, honestly, based on the splits I've been paying attention to.
37 seems high to you. Maybe he caught a heater this past week.
He must have gone 4 for 11 last night. Yeah,
That's right. Scoot worries me. That is my primary concern, is that all of the shit that happened, Lillard out, Scoot in, let's just plug and play. No, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. That worries me. And then, the other observation I'll make is Anthony Simons is for real. Anthony Simons is for real. Anthony Simons is a very, very good combo guard. He's better than a 6-man off your bench. He's better than a Jordan Clarkson. He's better than
yeah. Third best player on a championship team. Third best player.
I think Anthony Simons could be the third best player on a championship team. He needs to get out of Portland prison. And my Portland folks are going to hate me for saying this, but I call it like I see it. What does Ray Hildreth say? Skewed Henderson with a benefit playing in college, learn some fundamentals. Yeah, he didn't get the benefit that Suggs did. I mean, Suggs damn near pushed for a championship in college. Yeah. I don't know if he'd have been a better shooter if he'd have gone to college, Ray. I think that's probably a misconception. Sorry, let me click it. The reason I say that is because I think that give them time in college to develop is an overrated deal, especially in today's modern. I think you learn more and you develop more as a G League player as long as you're getting the minutes. That's my opinion.
You learn the NBA game a lot better.
How many more shots are you going to take as a professional G League player on G League Ignite or whatever the hell they're called than you would in college if you played for fill in the blank, Duke, Carolina, what? You'll take 10 times more shots. Sure. You will literally learn how to become an NBA pro. You will be competing against grown men, not just, Big Six conference guys. Sure. And everything about it prepares you to be a pro. So I just think the guy can't shoot. Like, look, here's the deal, Ray. Some people are born, they can't shoot basketball. And a lot of people learn to become better shooters. Some names that come off the tip of my tongue: Jason Kidd, learned to become a much better shooter. Vince Carter learned to become a much better shooter. Jason Terry was a terrible shooter as a young player, learned to become these are like guys that are ranked in the all-time three-pointers made who you never would have guessed when they came into the league. So that's what gives me a little bit of hope, because Scoot checks a lot of other boxes. I haven't had a chance to watch quite enough to see if he's got the true intangibles. You know what I mean? Like the true instinctual stuff. Have you watched it enough to
No. And you won't see it. I don't think you'll see it with that group. It won't matter if he has them or not, because you won't see it. Look, going back to the G League concept, you're 100% right. And Skylar Mays, our guy on the Blazers, is a prime example of that. Here's a guy who went through 4 years of college, right? And played the game the right way and was taught how to play, so on and so forth. He gets to the G League, he's got to figure out how to just go score.
Yeah.
Right? And it took him, look, he was worse in the G League statistically than he was with Portland last year.
Yes.
This year, right?
No.
Why? Because, first of all, he had to learn how to go be selfish to a degree, because the NBA can be a selfish league, as we well know. but the game is just so totally different than college. The spacing is different, and you're 100% right. All you do is play basketball when you sign a contract to play professional basketball, G League or not, right? Yeah. If you don't learn how to become a shooter, then that's on you, because college, it's still different. You get to do it a lot, but not the same degree, for sure.
Yep. All right, moving on. We're done with the Trailblazers. anything about the Trailblazers give you hope? Obviously, the next domino to fall is Jeremy Grant and Brogdon. Anything else? You see them doing anything else with any other big pieces?
I do, and this is the only thing that gives me hope, is that they move Brogdon. They may move Grant. Anthony Simons asked for a trade, and all that does is open up a starting spot for Skylar Mays. So that's all I care about.
That's all we care about. That we're slightly selfish in that regard. Selfishly unselfish. We want it for Skylar. The number 13 team in the West, which I am going to giggle maniacally because you know how excited I am about the fact that they're in 13th. Oh, my God, I'm so excited.
Yes.
Memphis Grizzlies, 10-22. So much worse than anybody could ever have imagined. That's not named Cajun Cardboard or Coach Pixley. We both saw it coming. Dallas needs to trade Kyrie for DeAndre Ayton and Anthony Simons. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
I like it. You know why? Because those are two pieces that would fit with freaking Luka. That's for sure.
Yeah, except, they got Lively there, so you have a little bit of a log jam. And again, we're going to get to Lively in a second, because if I have to hear one more word about, just wait.
Hey, let's go here. Just leave it at Dallas needs to trade Kyrie. There.
Henry, you could have just killed your sentence with a period after Kyrie. Dallas needs to trade Kyrie. Well, Kyrie needs to get on the court. And to be fair, Kyrie's been playing pretty well. He's been a pretty good teammate since he got there. Is that fair? I mean, I know we have a little bit of a bias based on historical precedent, but Kyrie's not been a bad teammate.
They're not going to win a title with him.
I know they're not going to win a title because that backcourt's not guarding anybody, but I'm saying he's done his part. You can't just ask him to magically become a relevant defender. He's played well. I mean, from by all standards, but it's not a good fit. Right. All right, here we go. What does EAG say? Mavs would have to take that. Kyrie doesn't play games. Yeah, you're right. Fair. All right, so my thoughts on the Grizzlies. I got a couple. Number one, I'm taking a victory lap because I bet I think $25 for me betting on FanDuel means I'm really confident in something. Yeah, that's a lot of money for me in FanDuel. I know it's funny because I buy these 5-figure cards, but betting $25 feels to me like the scariest thing in the world. And I bet 46.5. I bet the under on Memphis wins, which is a lock. That's over. That's like free money. And then the thing that I would note about the Grizzlies, and there's a lot of things we can talk about, how Jaren Jackson Jr. rebounds like Kyrie Irving. But I would go with Tyus Jones freaking mattered a lot. He really matters because when Ja's not on the floor, Tyus Jones is, and that really matters. One of the best assist turnover ratios in the league. And the fact that Ja was out for 25 games really kind of amplified the apparent the void that was left by Tyus Jones not being there. And then the other thing is, and I don't want to say this, what I don't want to admit about the Grizzlies this year compared to last year.
That they needed Marcus Smart.
That Dylan Brooks actually kind of mattered, dude.
Let's move on.
Did you ever think I would say that? I'm just telling you, he did.
Let's move on.
Okay. Give me your Memphis Grizzly thought. You have some kind of thought.
The thought is that Ja Morant is even better than I thought he was, and that's all they have. Yeah.
Okay.
Jaren Jackson is rated like we've been saying for the last year. So
yep.
Yeah.
All right. Because you do realize 2 years ago, everybody who wanted to sound really smart was looking at the analytics and the numbers and the records on and off the court and say, this team's better without Ja Morant on the court.
Ridiculous. By the way, real quick question for you. The 46.5, that had to have been put in place prior to the suspension. You got to be kidding.
No, sir. I know. I should have bet 25,000.
I can't believe I didn't put exactly.
I know.
Okay. Anyhow.
Yeah. You got to remember, these people sweat the nuts of the Memphis Grizzlies so hard for some reason, so freaking hard. It was all smoke and mirrors, dude. The seasons when they put up all those wins, every other team in the West, their best players were hurt for like double-digit games over and over and over. And of course, they're racking up wins because they're young. They play for the regular season. They got energy. Blah blah blah. Desmond Bane's a good player, by the way. You shouldn't say they have Ja Morant and nothing else because Desmond Bane's a good player. He's
You're
a
right.
fringe all-star guy. He'll never make an all-star team. He's
That
a
is a
fringe
good
all-star.
point. I should not say that.
Memphis Grizzlies 13th. They're 10-22. They've lost 3 in a row. I think they came back and they snuck 2 from the Pelicans, and then I think they've lost 3 in a row since or something like that. Let's talk about the Utah Jazz real quick. The Utah Jazz are sitting in 12th, which I guess if you gave them their choice, they'd probably rather be sitting in 15th. It sounds like that's what they're trying to do. A couple of things. Number one, they're just in limbo. They've got a lot of – I say this. I shouldn't say a lot. They've got some good pieces, but no great pieces, which is kind of commonplace in the NBA when you're just on the outside knocking, trying to break in. Do you deal – this is my question to you. Do you deal marketing or do you build around him? This is a guy who should have made All-NBA last year.
I think marketing is a great piece, first of all, and that goes against what I would have thought.
Great piece.
You're the one who made the call. When I say great piece, I'm not saying he's a top 10 player in the league. I think he is a great piece for certain rosters. And yes, they should move him for sure. And the Oklahoma City Thunder should pick him up, and then they should compete for a championship immediately when that happens. But I think outside of that, you want to talk about him being in limbo. They are in the same limbo as they were when they had Darren Williams and Carlos Boozer, although the players around them were better then. My point is they look like a little worse version of the Portland Trail Blazers when Lillard and McCollum were there. They could win some games. This team's not going to, but they could trade for a couple pieces probably. But the issue is they're never going to win a playoff series.
The ceiling, yeah. Good but not great is the worst place to be in the NBA. And by the way, Gigi has just commented that he needs the marketing on his Sixers. You could kiss my ass as a Bucks fan. You ain't getting marketing on your Sixers. There's no marketing in Tobias Harris out going to be happening around here, Gigi. If anywhere, I'm gonna somehow try to structure a deal to get marketing over to my Bucks. We need that floor spacing, baby.
Marketing to the Sixers, that is a problem.
Well, yeah, but the Sixers don't have anything that they would want, that the Jazz would want. I don't think the Sixers have the assets to do anything like that. Maybe I'm wrong.
If the Jazz are rebuilding, then what does it matter?
Well, the Sixers got to have something to give them to rebuild. What are they going to give them?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Give them five players and pull 5 guys up from the G League. Who cares?
They got enough G League. The Jazz have enough G League players. They don't need more. Alex says OKC should make a run at marketing. We're about to get there. Don't worry. We are definitely going to discuss that because that is a realistic possibility. And those two teams do have the pieces that would make for a perfect win-win trade, Alex. We'll talk about that in a second. Why isn't Walker Kessler playing more? That was my other question about the Jazz. You're not trying to win games. You're just trying to develop players. Walker Kessler had a fantastic season last year. He played on the FIBA World Cup team. He didn't have a great FIBA World Cup, but usually players come back from that with newfound confidence, playing with the best players in the world. He's playing 25 minutes a game. Why in God's name would your second most promising player on your team play 25 minutes a game? Fewer points than last year, fewer rebounds per game than last year, fewer assists than last year, lower field goal percentage than last year, lower free throw percentage than last year, and lower PER than last year for Walker Kessler. Why? What is going on? I don't understand. He was not even starting some games. That doesn't make any sense, Jonathan.
Yeah, it falls under the same question as why isn't Austin Reeves starting for the Lakers? And the answer is nobody knows. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. It doesn't make any sense because that guy actually, unlike Jaren Jackson, he was actually fairly effective in the World Games. I felt like at times. Okay. But the point is, like you said, normally those guys, especially when they're younger, they come back and they're on kind of a mission.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. If you're going to play Markkanen, if you're going to keep him, why would you not play Walker Kessler? Why would you not? You know what I'm saying? Like you tried to win last year. What's different?
I got a better question, Mr. Jazz GM. You've got Markkanen and you've got Kessler, right? I think we can both agree those guys are a power forward and a center. Yes. Like I know today's NBA, you got wings, points, and centers, right? I get all that. Markkanen, we tried Markkanen playing the 3 in Cleveland, and he was good, not great. We moved him to the power forward position on a shitty Jazz team last year, and he was a freaking animal, an absolute freaking animal who should have made All-NBA. Yep. And then you trade for John Collins and move him back to the 3 again? Yeah. That doesn't make sense. For John Collins, whose upside is what?
Well,
So it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what the Jazz are doing with the pieces. Keontae George looks to be a promising player. I'm not sure he can shoot. He's got the Jaden Ivey, Scoot Henderson disease, but he looks to have potential. And so I'd like to see what Keontae George is as a point guard. But you also have Sexton, and you also have Clarkson. So you've got duplication at the small, and you've got duplication at the 4-5. It doesn't make any sense.
One question: has there ever been more of a duplication than Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton ever on one team?
Yeah. No, that's as duplicative as it gets. Right. Gigi, do they have trades? Do they have real picks though? Like, remind me what real picks they have, because Houston's performing pretty well. I can't remember in that trade. You may be right.
Dude, who cares about the picks from next year's draft?
Well, that's the other thing, is next year's draft kind of sucks, GG. That's the other thing. Here, let's see what Glenn says. He's got a rumor here. Rumor is here in Detroit that first of all, my condolences. You don't have an NBA team in your city. Rumor is here in Detroit that Jazz and Pistons have discussed a trade marketing for Ivy, because the Jazz need more guards that can't shoot, and some draft picks per Detroit sports radio. We'll see about that. I'm excited at the thought that Markkanen could jump into a team like OKC. We're not there yet. I'm still jumping ahead. Yeah. All right, let's go to the next team. Let's go to Golden State.
Yes.
You want my one thought on Golden State?
Done.
They're cooked.
Yep.
It's over.
It's over.
I am officially pouring dirt on the grave. That shit's over. And you know what's funny? If you'd asked somebody 18 months ago, they would have said, well, this Golden State dynasty is just going to keep on going with Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga and James Wiseman. And that's not turned out very well. Number one, I also take a little bit of delight in the fact that they're better without Draymond. Not that they're great, but they're better without Draymond since he's been out. And then how would you tear this thing down if you were the GM? That's just my open-ended question to you, Jonathan, and anybody that's watching. We got 13 people in the room. How would you turn this around? Who do you keep? Who do you let go? Do you give, Clay a reward contract for services past rendered? I mean, I don't know what you do.
Your biggest issue is that you have guys. Okay, let's not even include Draymond in the conversation. Just talk about Clay. Okay. Clay is still a pretty good NBA two guard who, at certain nights, right, can be a.
Who's better, Clay Thompson? Right now, who would you rather have if you're Golden State? Who would you rather have on your team right now, Devin Vassell or Clay Thompson?
Devin Vassell. So if I have Clay Thompson, okay, if Clay agrees to come off the bench, then I'll keep him. Okay, he's not going to do that. Too prideful. We know how he is on that. So they need to go to Steph Curry and say, who do you want? And then we'll figure out how to go get that one individual, because you don't have enough to get more than one. So then, to me, the next thing is, like, do you break the whole thing down? Like, it's really one of two things. Do you literally tear it all down and move Steph, okay, and start all the way over? Or do you go with Steph and say, hey, we're going to make one more run at this deal? The problem is nobody wants Kuminga. Nobody wants Moody. Nobody wants, why? Because those guys can't play. So if they can't play, and they were supposed to be the
no, you left out nobody wants Draymond. At the end of, when Rodman was a nut, right? People like to compare Draymond to Rodman, but just because they're two guys that don't shoot a basketball, but they have been effective in the past, and they're both going to be Hall of Famers, like it or not, they are, or he is. But the difference is, nobody's willing to take that chance on Draymond right now. It's just been too nutso lately. Like, even by Draymond standards, dude, it's been crazy. It's like incident after incident after incident. It's just weird, man. I feel like he's off the deep end. I feel like he's really struggling because, he's the dude at the park. We used to play ball at the park, and there was the guy that was probably a pretty good player in his late 20s, but he's like 43, and we were like in our prime, like maybe late 20s, mid 20s, and we were still busting people's ass. But this guy couldn't stop talking shit. But guess what? You're not even good anymore, and you're struggling, and you're trying so hard to hang on to. We won this, we won these, we won those. That's great. Everybody who's ever played in the NBA and has won 3 rings can say we, but that shit is over, man. Those days are over. Draymond Green, I don't even think improves a team. I don't think there's any place in the NBA that really wants Draymond Green as a plug and play.
I would like to go back to the Rodman comparison, because there isn't one. And so when people say they're the same guy, they're not. Dennis Rodman's one of the greatest rebounders of all time and one of the greatest defenders of all time. Draymond's not one of the greatest of anything at all time, ever. And
also Rodman's problems Well, he did have that stretch in his career where he had problems on the court too. But by the time Jordan had sort of tamed him and at least infused a little bit of professionalism in him, and Phil Jackson infused a little bit of professionalism, his issues were not on the court. They were in the hotel room with Carmen Electra or Madonna, or on the motorcycle, or at the strip club, or whatever. His problems were off the court. Once you got him in the gym and on the court, he was, business as usual. The problem was off the court. Whereas Draymond, it seems like his problems on the court, even on the practice court sometimes, where he put his fist through Jordan Poole's face.
Here's the deal: Dennis Rodman could play on certain teams if he was willing to behave. Okay, there are many teams that Dennis Rodman could have benefited. There is one team that Draymond Green could have played on and been as successful as he's been. One. That's it.
Yeah, no doubt. What else? Anything else? So how would you tear it down? You keep Steph and let everything else go.
I'd do the whole thing. I'd tear the whole thing down. I don't think you can get enough back to be fair to Steph. I don't think you can. So
you wouldn't just trade Steph. I mean, I don't know if he has a no trade clause or what. I don't know contracts well. That's the first thing I'll always admit. I'm not the salary cap guy. I'm not the contract guy. But I don't think that the Warriors brass would just dump Steph Curry and blindside him like that. I think it would have to be an agreed upon deal after what that guy's done. And that's why it's going to be kind of tricky. I think Draymond, I think they would kick him to the curb. I think they've extended enough rope to Draymond to where now they're like, look, we're even Stevens. We're going to get your ass out of here as soon as we can. I don't think they would do that to Klay Thompson, even though Klay's probably pushing dead weight. Although, Jonathan, we buried Klay Thompson last year at about this point in the season, and I said he is done. I know, dude, but we did this last year, and then for the rest of the season, he made 46% of his threes or some stupid number.
I'm with you, but my point is this: I'm not going to be the same guy. If he's willing to come off the bench, I'm in. And so you asked me how I would do this. If I were a GM, I'd like to tear the whole thing down, but you can't not do it without asking Steph.
Yeah,
so you ask him and say, hey, what do you want to do? You want to make one more run at this? Here's what we have to do to get enough around you, right? And if he's willing to agree with that, then I don't see Steph. My deal is I don't see Steph going, I want out, right? That's what it comes down to. I think Steph should stay. So
yeah, I don't either. Let's move on. That was the 11th team. We got to cook here. Lakers 10th. Did you think the Lakers would be in 10th at this point in the season? 34 games in?
I didn't. No, I thought they would be higher. If you told me that LeBron and AD played almost all the games.
That's the trick. That's the trick, my friend. After 34 games, guess what? LeBron has played 32 games. I'm sorry. Yeah. LeBron has played 31 games, 34 minutes a game. And AD has played 32 games, 36 minutes a game.
Right.
I mean, a picture of health, right? Every time we do a podcast and the Lakers come up, you and I always say, if, and it's always with that contingency, that caveat, if those two guys stay healthy. Well, guess what? They're as healthy gets. And guess what? They're putting up freaking all-star numbers. Yeah. And they're 500. That's scary as shit. And I don't want to hear about Jared Vanderbilt or the little kid they got from the Heat. Remind me? I just went blank. No, the little kid from the Heat.
Oh, he's for the Bucks. I'm sorry.
All I can think about is Norris Cole.
Gabe Vincent.
The other Norris Cole. That's all I can think about. And they're 500. And so I don't want to blame this. I'm not blaming this on Jared Vanderbilt and Norris Cole Jr. Not playing. So every year we say the same thing. If they're healthy. Well, they're healthy and they're in 10th and they're at exactly 500. I would be very, very worried if I was the Lakers.
Well, the issue is the other teams in the West got better and they didn't. And they made their run last year due in large part to the fact that other teams are falling apart. And you can have LeBron and AD and other teams are falling apart. You can make a run. And I'm not saying that those two guys, if they get in the playoffs, and Zach Lowe brought up a great point. I was on a podcast this morning where he said everybody's talking about, when the Lakers get in the playoffs, they can make a run. And he's like, wait a minute, what makes you so sure they're going to get in?
Yeah,
that's the issue. How do you know they're going to get in?
Well, look, Simon just chimed in, and Simon knows his stuff. Simon, I was just about to say the Lakers do have one more bullet in the chamber, and it's I think they have a couple picks and D'Angelo Russell, which, again, I don't know what D'Angelo Russell's trade market is. He's good. Again, another guy who's good, not great. He's not exactly a perfectly position point guard. He's not exactly your pass first, point guard, your ultra high usage rate point guard. But they do have one bullet left in the chamber, and it's D'Angelo Russell and a couple picks to bring in a player. But what do you bring in? Do you try to bring in a traditional point guard, or do you move Austin Reeves into the starting lineup and then try to find another like athletic, versatile wing? I don't know what you do to cure the malady that's led to a 17-17 record. I don't know what the proper piece is to plug in.
The issue, and think about this with D'Angelo Russell, and I'm sure the list is pretty short in our lifetime. How many guys who have been career starters wherever they've been, the teams that they leave always get better after they leave. Every year, every time that they leave, the team gets better. I don't see that not being the case here because they probably get something for him. Regardless, They would get rid of him, right? And it would up the ante for Austin Reeves. It would give more opportunities for these other guys. I don't think the dude's a winning player. I never have. And so I think, plus what purpose does he serve if you have LeBron?
Agreed.
He's not a great catch and shoot guy. So like what purpose does he serve?
Agreed.
Move on.
Okay. Number 9, Houston Rockets started off red hot, a lot better. And I was going to, drop a big fat, I told you so on you because, I was the Rockets pumper and you were like, yeah, right. And then they've kind of cooled off to where they're almost back to 500 like the Lakers. They're 16-15. They're in 9th place. So they're in the play-in. So I still can beat my chest a little bit. The one that, in a nutshell, I want to see more of Amen Thompson. He was injured at the beginning of the year. I know he had that right at the end of the preseason. He fucked his foot up or something. I can't remember what it was, but didn't get to play until, very recently. I've seen flashes to where like, oh, this guy could be very relevant. And he might be more relevant than we thought because I don't know about this Jalen Green cat, dude. I don't know about Jalen Green, man. It doesn't seem like he's taken a step sideways even. He seems to have taken a step backwards and regressed. Şengün is far, far, far and away the best player on the team. If they get an all-star, which they may not, but if they do, Şengün's the guy, right? Şengün is poor man's Jokic by all standards. That's kind of like he's just kind of a ground-bound, big, sloppy, foreign dude who has got a freaking big-ass fat brain and makes really good decisions, is crazy skilled. Couldn't slide a credit card under him when he jumps to dunk a basketball or tries to, but although he has put some people on posters. Have you seen? Have you seen Şengün? Yeah.
Like fingertip dunk stuff. Yeah, but he does.
Yeah, but hard fingertip dunks, right? Like sending a message fingertip dunks. So Jalen Green's the issue. He's just not efficient. Like he's just not efficient. And then Tari Eason, the other thought is Tari Eason's going to make $100 million in his next contract. Fact. 100% fact. That dude's making $100 million in his next contract.
Yeah, but the 9th best player on teams makes $100 million now.
That's true. I forgot about the change.
But think about this, okay? And I put my index finger to my temple earlier because I was trying to remember who it was that just a year ago, maybe 2, was thinking about Kevin Porter and Jalen Green and the Rockets and how talented they were. And I kept telling you they don't know how to play basketball. I can't remember who it was that I was talking to when I said that. But anyhow, I've turned out to be correct that they don't know how to play basketball. And you know why? Because now there are actually guys on their team that do know how to play basketball. And I will not say Dillon Brooks. I will say Van Vliet and Şengün. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you make Jalen Green the 3rd or 4th best guy on the team, he doesn't know how to function.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to function.
He's going to be a career stat guy on a terrible team or on the bench on a good team. It's one of the two.
I'm not going to let you disparage Kevin Porter Jr.'s on-court abilities and exploits. But he did break his girlfriend's neck, allegedly. So we may have seen the last of him. So I will be able to always fall back on, well, we'll never know if Kevin Porter Jr. was going to win an MVP. We'll never know. We'll never know. We'll never know. Prove me wrong. We'll never know. Jalen Green, we know will not be winning any MVPs.
I would like to acknowledge also that Dillon Brooks' statistics have come back to where Dillon Brooks belongs.
Yeah. Well, that FIBA World Cup thing, I felt like I was in a freaking nightmare. Yeah. I was like, God damn, every time I look, he's over 50%. He's making threes and they're winning games. I was like, this is my worst nightmare. Yep. Like, I'm a positivity pumper, but there are a few guys that I root against. Dillon Brooks is definitely one of those guys. There's not very many. I'm a very positive person by nature, but Dillon Brooks, I only want terrible things to happen just because of the way he behaves. And that summer, this is the longest summer of my life. It's basically the summer of the Dillon Brooks come-uppance. You know.
You
All right,
said
let's move on.
7 times in the last 30 seconds. I'd like to move on if we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Jabari Smith has looked good at times this year. I guess, Alex. I just think, what was he, number 4 overall pick, number 3 overall pick, 2, something like that. Just like you just, again, he's so young. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone.
So we're not moving on from the Rockets?
Okay. Phoenix is in 8th. What in the hell? Phoenix is in 8th, and that's all Beal not playing. So we still just don't freaking know. He's now played 2 games. We're recording this on January 3rd. It's a live stream. So January 3rd, Beal's last 2 games, I think he went 20 plus and looked really good. Yeah. And he played in 2 games in a row and did not sit. And I have not got a message. He's on my fantasy team, which is why I'm in next to last. So is Draymond Green, by the way. Thanks, Draymond. So I know. I didn't have a choice, dude. It was where it was in the draft. I had to take it.
All right.
Anyway, we need more time with Beal.
But doesn't he have a back issue?
It's a back issue.
So that's a problem, man.
That's usually a problem.
Yeah. So that's what the issue is. Durant and Booker are literally out there by themselves, man.
That was the deal with the devil that the Phoenix Suns made, is that we're going to put together, maybe, arguably, I guess, somewhere in the mix, the best big 3 in the NBA, right? Certainly the best offensive big 3 in the NBA. I even went on record and said this might be the best offensive starting 5 in the history of basketball. Like, that's how far I was going to go, because Nurkic is better than average. Then you got Beal, Durant, and just fill in the blank, somebody to go stand in the corner, Eric Gordon or whatever the hell you want to do. What?
Nurkic is a problem, though. I used to think Nurkic, I was like, you know what? Dude's very skilled and talented, but he is incredibly soft, man. And I did not know that until watching him a little bit more this year. And so it's an issue. Yeah, it's an issue.
His nickname is the Bosnian Beast. Do you think he's soft?
Well, he needs to play a little bit more like it, because if you were the Bosnian Beast, what would have happened to Draymond if he'd got pissed off? Enough said. So, anyhow. But no, those three guys.
Look, read the comment. Simon wants to know who else is on. You want to tell him who else is on my starting 5 for my Dillon Brooks list? Guys that I can't stand because people think they're so great and they're just not any good. He's got 2 of them right there. Dillon Brooks and Draymond are first team.
Current. All current. So Jay Crowder, PJ Tucker. Who's the 5th?
They've fallen off. They've fallen off my list because they're not relevant. Patrick Beverley is still clinging on to the starting 5. So
obviously,
Patrick Beverley stays on my Dillon Brooks list, as with Draymond and Dillon as players that if I have to hear one more thing about how good they are, I'm going to dive. Dyson Daniels is my captain. We're about to get to the Pelicans, and that's a horrible spoiler alert, but I took the bait from Simon. Dyson Daniels is my number 1 most disliked player in the NBA right now. He just recently took the title. And
it's just based on his play. That's the worst part.
Well, it's based on his play and the words that come out of the mouths of people that are on television talking about him.
But not him. Like, he's not a cheap shot artist.
No, he's not. He's not like a dirty player or a cheap shot guy or a shit talker. He just looks like a caveman and has a very low basketball IQ. And the fact that an NBA GM, who I highly respect, and a coach who I've come to respect, thinks he could actually play the point guard position when he is one of the lowest IQ perimeter players I've ever seen in my entire life. He is one of the lowest IQ perimeter players I've ever put eyes on, and they're trying to play him at point guard.
Can you imagine what it would have been like to have him, Jalen Green, and Kevin Porter play together?
2 out of 3 Hall of Famers, and then Dyson Daniel. All right, hold on. Where are we?
We are at the the Suns. If you want to finish up, I thought we finished with Beal, and that's really it. But
well, the Suns it's not. We don't have a complete idea. Like, and I know. Well, and here's the counter argument. Jonathan is like, did you think you would? You've got 3 injury-prone players. Did you think you were going to have all 3 players for 34 games? Were they going to play 100 combined games? Probably not. And so it's almost like you get what you ask for. That you reap what you sow, I think is what old people say.
So question for you, okay? If they get into the playoffs and it's 1-8 and it's them in Minnesota, let's say Minnesota's still 1, okay? Who would you bet $1,000 on?
all players on both teams are healthy, and I have to bet $1,000. Man, F you for making this. I'm betting on the Timberwolves. I'm betting on the Timberwolves, and let me tell you why. Because if Nurkic does get hurt or does get into foul trouble,
no, everybody's healthy.
I know, but if he gets in foul trouble, I mean, people commit fouls, and he's very foul prone. That's it. Chimezi Metu, Keita Bates-Diop, Drew Eubanks, barbecue chicken, dude. They're done. And here's the other deal is, you know where I stand on the Anthony Edwards train. I'm all aboard the Anthony Edwards train. This is his, not just a step forward. This is his 3 big ass leaps forward. He's about to triple jump forward this year, in my opinion.
In a playoff series today, and I get it that he's headed there, but in a playoff series,
you're still taking him.
You trust? No, I'm not telling you I am. I was asking the question. You're still trusting him. You'll trust him more than Kevin Durant or Devin Booker?
No, but I'm taking that Minnesota Timberwolves team.
I get it. I do. And I probably would too. I just wondered what was, because you would have to think about it though. You'd have to
I would. Well, for sure. Because if you made me bet at the beginning of the season which of those 2 teams would be the number 1 seed in the West, it would be the Suns. Right? Depth is the issue, and they're not done. So they could go out there and make something happen, right? What they need to do is they need to figure out how to trade. Well, they're not going to trade Nurkic because it's too late, but they need to trade. They need to do a 1 for 3 instead of a 3 for 1. They need to do a 1 for 3. They need to anti-consolidate and bring some more depth in because, Eric Gordon, Grayson Allen, okay, I guess you're okay there, even though they're duplicative. They're the exact same player. Then after that, it gets a really, really murky, and it starts to look like that Spurs roster that we talked through earlier.
But just think about this. Think about this. Last year, without Beal, okay, and I know they had Ayton, okay, but they're the only team that beat Denver in the playoffs. Didn't they win 2 games or 1 game?
They won 2, I think, yeah.
Okay. And that was without Beal. And really, the rest of the roster was basically the same. I know,
it wasn't the same. It was Ayton. I mean, they had Ayton.
Campaign's not there, but I don't count him as something that matters to that. So it's just Ayton Nurkic, right? So if you just do the on-paper math, you trade Nurkic for Ayton, trade out, and you add Beal. So they should be better in the playoffs if they get to that point.
Yeah. Bowl.
What do you want me to do with that?
All right. Moving on from the Suns, Dallas Mavericks are in 7th. They are 19-15, and this is with Luka Doncic putting a 750,000-pound piano on his back and proving and substantiating I am one of the 3 or 4 best players on earth. He is absolutely insane. I sent you a box score the other night, and I said, is this the worst roster in the NBA with Kyrie out? Kyrie was out, and I was like, is this the worst supporting cast in the NBA? And you're like, it's a conversation. I don't know how many more prime years of Luka Doncic I can watch be wasted on this shitty roster. I am sick and tired of it. And if I hear one more person tell me, okay, so here's the deal with Derek Lively, all right? I've heard 2 things, and it's the same thing. People say the same thing over and over. He's the next Tyson Chandler, or he's an all-star level, rim runner. He's an all-star level, rim running, defensive, big lob catcher, right?
Yeah.
Well, Tyson Chandler wasn't this thing, and this thing isn't Tyson Chandler. So which is he the next Tyson Chandler, or is he an all-star? I mean, which one is he?
So first of all, there are no all-star rim running bigs. Okay. Second of all, there aren't any.
Jared Allen.
Did he make an all-star team?
He did. DeAndre Jordan. Didn't he make one year?
Probably, yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's not any more, right? There's not any more.
No more. Right. So, because like Clint Capella was like a 15 and 12 guy, and he wasn't on the team.
Yeah, he shot like 75% from the field too.
Yeah. So my point is, if he's Tyson Chandler, that's an upgrade. If he's productive, Tyson Chandler was a starter on a championship team, right? Wasn't he on that Mavs team that won it with Dirk?
I believe he was with Jason Terry and all those guys. Yeah.
So
that was I'm pretty sure. Was Dirk not the only player to win an NBA title with no other All-Stars on his team?
That's a good question.
I thought that I heard that stat. Somebody in the chat here, cross-reference and double check me. I'm pretty sure he did not have that season. He did not have an all-star on his team that season. Jason Kidd was on the team. But he wasn't an all-star at that point in his career. He was catch and shoot and kind of a backup guy. Not a backup guy, but just kind of like a game runner.
Role player.
Yeah. I don't know. Jonathan, I'm so disappointed that we're missing the best of Luka Doncic.
Here's the problem, man. If you have Luka, okay, like where does Luka fit in the great players that haven't won a title thing, right? And so
right now,
no, just think about it. Barkley, Karl Malone, John Stockton.
It's early.
I don't know who else, right? But he is certainly on a trajectory being way better than those guys. Now, granted, those guys were unbelievable players, but statistically, overall, he's a better offensive player, and it's really not close. If they don't put something around him, it will be a travesty. Now he's going to ask out. He's going to ask out.
You realize he's still 24.
Yeah, but he's been playing pro basketball since he was like 9. So he's
11.
So
I'm just saying.
He's got mileage.
24.
Yeah. He did get in shape at least this year. I'll give you that. Yeah.
I mean, he is so good, dude. I'm looking at his career numbers and this year's numbers. He's averaging 33.4, 8.3, 9.4 assists on 48, 38, 79, and he has a 27.6 PER. And by the way, his usage rate is like a billion. Everything he has to do, every single possession is a Luka shot, a Luka turnover, or a Luka assist. That's it. That's all they can do.
How does he get 9 assists? Who does he get 9 assists?
Tim Hardaway Jr. He's on a heater. Yeah. We're done with the Mavericks. I just worry about it. I don't even know how to make it right. Like, I guess Kyrie, but I mean, yeah.
Now, listen, here's a question. Kyrie, add him to the mix. He's fully healthy the rest of the year. What's their ceiling from a standpoint of where can they finish?
They can win a round.
No, I'm saying seeding-wise, where can they finish? They're in 7th right now. Can they go up?
Yes, they can go up.
So can Phoenix.
Yes, they could pass the Pelicans. But you know what? They could also get passed by the Suns and the Lakers.
That's what I'm saying.
They can't pass the Timberwolves. Have just too big of a lead. They're definitely not passing the Thunder, who are freaking filthy. The Nuggets, the Clippers, who we haven't gotten to, but we're both going to eat shit on that. And I don't think they could pass the Kings. They're, game and a half, 2 games behind the Kings? I don't know. I guess they could pass the Kings.
It'll depend. Because if Kyrie is really Kyrie, then from a standpoint of on the court, then they can make a run. I mean, they could finish probably top 6. But my point is their ceiling is maybe 1 spot up.
Well, their playoff ceiling is nil, as they say in England, because they can't guard anyone.
Right. For sure.
Period. All right. We're done with the Mavericks. It's just depressing, to be quite honest with you. I don't want to talk long about the Pelicans. You've already got my one topic was Dyson Daniels, my most hated player in the NBA now, slightly edging out Kuminga, who was my 5th starter, by the way. Sorry, to go back to I forget. I forget who brought it up. Was it Simon? I can't remember. Yeah, but so it would be Kuminga, Dylan Brooks, Draymond, Pat Beverly, and Dyson Daniels, with Dyson Daniels being the team captain of players that I dislike the most. And it's not, I don't wish harm to him. It's not that he's done anything wrong. It's just that I cannot listen to these people talk about how he oozes potential. And it makes me want to vomit because I don't understand what they are seeing. Let me run you through Dyson Daniels' numbers. Are you sitting down?
I really do. We need
Are you ready?
Do we have to do this right now?
Just say yes.
Yes. Yeah.
6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists on 41, 27, and 67 with a 10 PER, and he's playing point guard.
It's a triple single. He's solid, man.
Those are horrific. I would go so far as to say nobody in the NBA who plays that many minutes is worse. He's not just not oozing potential. That's the worst 22 minutes per game player in the entire NBA.
It's possible. Hey, by the way, let's address David Trotter here. Brian and AD won't have legs in 7-game series. I will say this. Will it matter if you do?
Mike, well, right now, if they played in a 7-game series, they'd win 3.5 games because they're exactly 500. But I'm with you, David. David, that's every year we keep saying the same thing, and it's not like rocket science. And you're right, and we're right. It's like you better have them both,
Yeah.
And then it's still not enough. I mean, really, the most important domino that's going to fall for the Lakers is going to be what happens with D'Angelo Russell. And there is no way in hell that they let this one more season go by in what is a very quickly shrinking LeBron and AD window, and D'Angelo Russell's on that roster. There is no way in hell D'Angelo Russell's on that roster when they go into the playoffs. If they go into the playoffs,
but
no
here's
way.
the problem. Even if they do, okay, the best possible matchup for that monster in Denver is Anthony Davis, and he was toyed with last year by Jokic.
Like a child, like somebody's grandchild a little toddler wandered onto the court, and then Jokic just impregnated him. Yes, it was pathetic, right? Yeah. It was pathetic. Don't even get me started on Jokic. I have a man crush. All right, here we go. Are we done with the Pelicans, or did you want to say something about Zion's eating habits or something? That's usually where you go.
They're pretty well documented. We can move on.
All right, good. Let's go. Sacramento Kings / Indiana Kings. Same team, only a year ahead and a little bit more talent because they have Sabonis, and then Indiana's got, Miles Turner. I think we've kind of taken Sacramento for granted. And I've slotted them into the good but not great category. I think they are what the Pacers hope to be. The Pacers are a little more amplified in both directions. I think the Pacers are first in the league in points per game and first in NBA history, and they are next to last in the league in defensive, points per game allowed, right? Okay. And I think that the Kings are 8th in points per game and 21st in points per game allowed. So they're very similar type teams. I don't see any team that's this bad at defense winning a title. And not that defense wins championships, but you've got to be better than average at defense. And they're definitely not better than average. Offense, great. Defense, no. I also don't see a team with an older, aging Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter in their starting lineup winning a title or getting to the conference finals.
Okay, and I agree with you. And they're in that good, not great. They can't win a championship. I'm with you. One thing that I think is not discussed often enough when you talk about the Kings is this, and this is schematics. Sabonis, who's putting up amazing numbers again. Okay, amazing. All right.
Every year.
When they get to the playoffs, it is a major issue that you can sit in the paint and he will not even look at the goal from 16 feet.
It's like watching a giant foreign white Rajon Rondo.
Yes, it doesn't make sense because he's a decent free throw shooter. His shot looks okay. He'll take a 3 every once in a while. I don't understand it. If he would just become a weapon in the mid-range, that's it. That's all you have to do. I think it opens up so much more for those guys.
He's what they're now calling the hot term in the NBA as a fulcrum player, right? Yeah. Which is basically what Jokic does. He catches it at the freaking elbow 100 times a game, and then everything plays off of him, and it's just basketball. You just play basketball because a genius has it, and then a bunch of little minions are running around, and the genius makes genius decisions. That's that fulcrum position. He can play that position. He can do that. He's doing it right now. He does it really well. But you're right, in the playoffs, it's like they're gapping a guy that's like 14 feet away from the rim, and he won't shoot it.
And the other
how about just take a dribble, get your ass into the defender, and then spin and shoot a little half hook? Just do something.
Yeah, but the other issue is they run a lot of DHO stuff, right? A lot of dribble handoffs. So when they do that, technically
it's going under everything.
Because you're gapping it so much. If the DHO is effective, then there's no help on that. The problem is they don't have guys who can sprint and grab and make jump shots. Herter's kind of close. Harrison Barnes isn't that guy. Fox is going to have the ball in his hands when he does it. So, they need more guys. Think about J.J. Redick playing in that system.
Monk in the starting lineup? Monk's turned into a pretty good NBA player, dude.
No, he has. You're right. I just don't think they have enough guys to not have Sabonis make 17-footers. That's all. It's really.
Do you think Malik Monk is better than a prime Oscar Robertson?
Today?
Rob, put those dudes on the floor together. Malik Monk and prime Oscar Robertson. And who are you taking?
Here's the deal.
I'm trying to get some hate mail. I'm trying to get some hate mail sent your way.
You know what I think, but I can't do that to the Big Apple.
Such a trap. I just threw it out there.
I'm not doing the fireman and plumber thing. I'm not doing it. Yep.
What if you said you had to use your left hand to dribble? Then what? Then what does Robertson do?
Well, there's nothing.
Well, there's nothing. No, we just have to play
all
checkers.
of the Tigard from the 60s and before could do. All of them.
We have to play checkers or something. All right. All right. Some really angry 70-year-olds are not going to watch this anymore. We're done with the Kings. They're the Pacers. They're a better version of the Pacers. Los Angeles Clippers. I was very skeptical of the fit of Westbrook and Harden and somebody burning the whole thing down. Westbrook going to the bench. There was a bazillion questions, and it looked like everybody was going to be like, "See, we were right. There's no way this can work." And then they went ape shit, and they're 20-12. And we say the same thing about the Clippers that we do about the other team in Los Angeles, which is if they're healthy. What are your thoughts on the Clippers? Anything different? Are you shocked that Harden's accepted this he's kind of, especially after his comments that he is a process, like what did he say? I'm
a system.
I am a system. Yeah. He's taken that little step back and really become third fiddle. You surprised?
Not really, because I think his issue is he's had so much pressure on him to perform in the playoffs for so long that when it doesn't happen, I think he's just tired of the attention, honestly. I know it sounds crazy from talking about James Harden, but I think that, look, we've talked about this. These dudes are who they are, okay? And when it comes to the playoffs, James Harden is going to be James Harden. And unless, for whatever the reason, he can be the third or fourth best player on the roster, because, see, Westbrook is still going to try to be Westbrook. The key is Kawhi Leonard being healthy. Think about last year.
There's no question.
Dude, Kawhi Leonard was healthy.
I know.
Destroying Phoenix. And
we were texting each other back and forth like, I don't understand how anybody can flip the switch like this and be a regular season afterthought. And then you and I are like, God damn, he's one of the top 5 players in the world again. Like, just magically, and then he's out again. It's like, we're never going to get burned by this again. We're not going to have it. We're not going to believe in this again.
If he's healthy, then you don't have to worry about James Harden. You don't have to worry about Westbrook. So if he's healthy, man, the question is, are they contenders if he's healthy?
I think it all depends on Brandon Boston. All right, moving on from the Clippers. I just don't like that.
Avoid that question. I need to know an answer.
What'd you say?
You can't avoid that question. I need an answer.
Are the Clippers a contender
if he's healthy?
Like, is there
a world where they could win the NBA championship? Everybody's healthy across the board. Everybody is.
I wouldn't rule it out. They wouldn't be the team that I would give the best odds to, but I would not rule it out.
They're the best matchup for Boston if they're healthy.
You mean the worst?
The best.
From Boston's perspective, you mean the worst or the best? You mean the best?
I mean, no, correct. In other words,
the worst. The team that Boston would least like to match up with in the West.
Right.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think it's the Nuggets because they have that big MFer, and he's going to be a problem.
That not discount.
Okay. Nuggets.
Yeah.
I have one note written down. Who misses games because they got chewed up and eaten by a dog? And suddenly it's like a story for like 8 hours, and then we're just not going to talk about the fact that a 6'10" guy got chewed up by a dog. Yeah. Like, that's okay. We're just going to move it on, sweep it under the rug. I think there's more to the story.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope there is.
What do you hope is? What do you hope the more is? Finish the story. If in a perfect world, make this story what you hope it would be. We find out that it was a what do you call the mix between like a poodle and a chihuahua? We find out it was a tiny dog, and that Aaron Gordon has a fear of little, small, well-kept, groomed dogs like an elephant does with a mouse. And Aaron Gordon can't come back to play basketball because now he's got anxiety and depression because he's afraid of small, cockerdoodles or whatever you call those little mixed poodle dogs. That would be my perfect story. And then next year he comes back and he wins Most Improved Player, Comeback Player of the Year after the vicious dog attack by Snickers, the poodle.
I'm gonna let you have that one.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that.
Do you have anything to say about the Nuggets? I mean,
that if he's healthy, I would still pick them to win the title.
You pick right now. You got to bet $1,000. You pick the Nuggets to win the title.
And I will explain why to you.
I pick the Celtics.
I know, and I don't blame you. Okay, but here's why: because offensively, I think in the fourth quarter, the Celtics still struggle. All right. I think they still have issues, and there's still just one ball. I think their identity, if Jason Tatum is their identity, he's just not Jokic. And so at the end of every game in that situation, Denver knows exactly what they're about. I don't think Boston does. Maybe they will at that point. Now,
Jonathan, I agree with you. There's a sense of like comfort knowing that the default offense is the best player on planet Earth 3 years running is holding the ball
wherever
at the elbow or the nail, and he's 7 foot, 280 pounds.
Yeah.
There's some sense of comfort knowing that's your go-to. Yeah. Whereas the Celtics go-to is, well, first of all, you got to keep away from Drew Holiday.
Yep.
First of all, offensively, right? Because he's a freaking nut, and he's going to nut all over the Celtics like he did my Bucks last year. He nutted on the Bucks, for lack of a better term. So he's unpredictable and volatile offensively. But I don't know, man. There's a lot. There's a lot to. I mean, let me think through this. It can be argued that the Celtics have 4 players as good as Denver's second best player.
Doesn't matter. This is what
does it.
What I say doesn't matter.
They could have the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and seventh best player. That doesn't matter.
Second, third, fourth, and you think all those guys are better than Jamal Murray? That's crazy.
Well, I think it can be. Well, Jamal Murray's never even made an All-Star team, so I can certainly say that Tatum and Brown are, and I can certainly say that Porzingis is.
You'd rather have a playoff series than Jamal Murray?
What?
You'd rather have Jaylen Brown in a playoff series than Jamal Murray playing with Jokic?
Well, if you flip their teams.
No, I'm simply saying, put Jaylen Brown on Boston.
No, Jamal Murray's a better fit for Jokic. Yeah, for sure.
So then he's the third best player in the series.
Well, I'm just saying, you go through. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but my point is this: at the end of the day,
okay, they have 6 of the 8 best players. How about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a big deal, dude.
Would you agree that Aaron Gordon can physically match up with either Tatum or Brown?
Yes. If his face comes back together from the snickerdoodle.
Agreed. I didn't say his heart could because the snickerdoodle may have stolen it. But
the
point is,
Mr. Snicker. What's his name? Lieutenant Smuckers. That's the name of the little dog that got him.
Can Michael Porter physically match up with Tatum or Brown? Probably not completely, but he's at least long enough to be a problem somewhat, right? Okay. So then at the end of the day, you're not that far off when you're talking about the wing matchups. Those guys are better than those 2 guys, but it's so far apart. And then you have I'm just saying, man. I'd rather have Jokic with the ball than anybody else.
All right. Well, I'm taking the Celtics.
Does it matter? Does it matter defensively that Boston is so much better? Does it matter? With them? We
don't know. We're going to see. We may not get Denver-Boston. It's quite likely we don't get either. Right now, there's some conversations to be had. All right, we're done with Denver. They have the best player in the world 3 years running, and we agree on that. My favorite team to watch on TV now is next. They're number 2 in the West, and it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. And they won last night, so this is going to be outdated. I think they're 23-9, and they are a game out of first. And they are young. They are deep. They have a first-team All-NBA perimeter player. They have the Rookie of the Year. They have James Harden 2.0, basically this new ultra-modern Oklahoma City's version of the original James Harden, who was a 6th man, who kind of sometimes starts. I think the real Jalen Williams sometimes starts now, but you get the drift. When he gets his own team, he's going to break out and be an FU player. They've got a stopper on the wing who might have a dead body in his trunk that he killed with his bare hands in Lugan's Dort.
It's more likely than not.
Huh?
It's more likely than not. Yes.
The preponderance of the evidence would suggest that Luke Dort has killed a man with his bare hands. I think we can both agree on that. Let's not mince words here. Okay. Dude, I am very, very. There's no words. I need a napkin. I am very excited about the Oklahoma City Thunder.
So,
not necessarily right this second, but then you throw into the account. I think they have like 137 first-round draft picks?
Yeah, something like that.
They have a staggering number of first-round picks. And if the finisher, which is Lauri Markkanen, great nickname, the finisher, because he's from Finland, you get it, you understand.
Oh, yeah.
If the finisher shows up on that roster,
that's a problem.
That is a discussion, and that is a deal. That's a 3-4 year window of nothing but trouble for the West, my friend.
That's a problem. And SGA does not strike me as the type where the playoffs will matter to him, right? He's just going to be him. So my question to you is, how many players do you take ahead of SGA today to start your team with for 1 year as the best player on a championship team? How many guys do you take? 5?
Giannis, Jokic, and I'm assuming Embiid.
I'm asking you.
No, I'm asking. Well, we are going to agree on Giannis and Jokic.
Yeah.
Okay. Tatum.
Nope. Not me. Not me. Too efficient, man. He's too efficient. Luka.
Luka.
Yep.
I do. I take Luka.
I do too.
Embiid and Tatum would be. I would need to look into it further.
3.
But 3 for sure. Yeah.
3. That's it. I'm not taking Embiid. I'm not taking. Here's why I'm not taking Embiid. Not yet. No, not anymore. Here's why I'm not taking Embiid, although he's putting up absolutely video game ridiculous numbers. Okay. I just trust SGA. I just look at him and go, that dude is cool. He is a leader. He is.
I love his demeanor.
He never misses. He never misses. It's crazy. Like it's wild. Every night I turn on, he's 14 of 20.
I love his demeanor, dude. I really like his demeanor. You could tell his teammates really like him. You can tell it is very freaking clear that when he wants the ball, they give him the ball. There's no taking turns. There's no this and that. You know, if he allows Jalen Williams to go be alpha for a few possessions, that's great. And that's what I like about SJ is he will. But, dude, that is his team. Whew, man, he is going to be a problem for years and years to come.
Have you seen a guy who plays that under control, yet nobody can even come close to keeping him in front?
Why can't they, though? He's tall.
I know. He's 6'6".
It's not like he's John Morant. It ain't like he's 5'11", 6'1". This ain't Chris Paul. They can't keep him in front. He's like 6'5".
But, dude, when he blows by guys, it's like they're not there.
They're not even fouling him. They're not even fouling him. Right. I just want to reiterate how excited I am about the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're my second. I'm still a Bucks fan. I'm not leaving the Bucks, but they're my next team that I would choose to win a title because it would be ahead of schedule and it would scare the shit out of this league, especially given their assets and given the types of personalities they have and given the upside. Every player on that team is on the uptick. They're all on the uptick, Jonathan.
Yep. You understand we just made an argument for him to be the 4th best player in the world right now.
So we haven't talked about kitty sex. Josh Kitty, as I like to call him. What do you think about Giddey and 3 first-round picks for marketing? You do that in 3 seconds.
Oh, I wouldn't even think about it. Okay. You know what it would be? Giddey, and how many first-round picks would you like? There.
Yeah, you tell us. Slide this slip of paper across the table with however many. Please not more than 10. Okay, don't ask for more than 10 picks because we have 37 picks. But what if it's have you really watched the Thunder? Like, have you watched Kason Wallace?
I have. I mean, yes, and
he's a cool cat too now.
And look, here's the deal: Giddey's obviously not a bad player. He's just a terrible fit for what they're trying to do. He's a terrible fit because he can't shoot. So if he could shoot,
I will say this: he's shooting better lately.
Yeah, but still, he's not a perfect.
It's a forced role. Yeah, I agree. It's not a natural role. It's a forced role.
Right.
Okay, we got to stop on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm getting too heated over here. Minnesota Timberwolves.
Okay.
They're the number 1 team in the West and the number 1 team in the best record in the entire NBA, if I'm not mistaken.
They play a series in the West.
No, second best record in the entire NBA behind the Celtics.
Okay. How many teams in the West beat them in a 7-game series, in your opinion?
Can or will?
Well, you would pick them to lose to if they played them in a 7-game series.
the Nuggets,
Yep.
the Thunder.
Maybe. But yeah, I would too.
That's
probably.
it. And then we have the discussion about the Clippers. That is just like I would not want to have to make that choice. And again, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around the hypothetical where Westbrook, Harden, Kawhi, and Paul George are all healthy for 7 games. I just still can't get my brain to accept that. Like I'm trying, but
the Clippers would be close to me picking them, and it's because I think Anthony Edwards will have too much on his plate offensively if he has to play a team that deep offensively. That's all I'm getting at. I mean, obviously, I still think he's – man, we keep dismissing Kawhi when he's healthy, and I'm not going to do that anymore. But, he's either the first or second best player in the series. Jeez, I don't know.
How good can Anthony Edwards be?
Anthony Edwards is going to have to be –
I'm very –
he is.
Obviously, I'm very intrigued and very high on Anthony Edwards as a player and as a prospect. I mean, how good can Anthony Edwards be? Best case scenario. Best case scenario.
Best case scenario, he's a top. I'm going to tell you. I know this is jumping ahead.
Let me just say true or false. Let's do it this way. He's top 10 in the league right now. Right now, he's top 10 player in the league.
For me, he is. Yes.
Next year he's top 5 player in the league.
Not yet. The year after.
He finishes his career top 20 player in history.
No. I was going to say this. Odds
are just not good. There's so many players. Like being top 20. Being top 20 means he's got to be better than Dirk or Barkley.
Right. And here's the deal.
Or Dwayne Wade.
There's a better one. So I think he can be a top.
Dwayne Wade put some numbers on paper, dude. It's going to be tough to pass him.
I think top end, I think Anthony Edwards could be a top 6 to 8 shooting guard of all time.
Well, that doesn't get you in the top 20.
I know. That's why.
It's kind of crazy to think about that, right? Shooting guard is the weakest of the positions.
Not historically, it's not.
I think it is.
Now it is for sure.
No. I think historically, if you laid out the top 50, I think there'd be fewer shooting guards than any other position. That's my personal opinion. Centers and point guards would eat up the top 50. Think about that, Jonathan. Think about how many centers are in the top 30. There's 15 centers in the top 30.
Centers for sure. I'll give you that. Okay.
And then point guards, dude, that's another 8.
Jordan, Kobe. Listen to this list, though. Jordan, Kobe.
Wade. There's your list. That's it.
Dwayne Wade.
You're done.
Why? I mean,
in the top 20?
Oh, no. I'm not saying that in the top 20. Oh. I'm just saying, just list who are the guys that would be on that top 10 list for shooting guards. That's all.
Oh, yeah. Ray Allen?
Maybe. Maybe. Those guys. So it's a heck of a list to be top 6 to 8 on. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I think he can do that for sure.
Well, I suspect he'll pass Clyde Drexler. I think no offense to Clyde Drexler, but I suspect they'll pass Clyde Drexler.
I will definitely agree with that. What's he? Yeah. How old is he? 15? I don't know.
Anthony Edwards should be 22. Let's find out. This is nuts, dude. He is 14 years old. No, he's 22. He's 22 years old.
Okay, here's my other issue with the Timberwolves and the playoffs, and you know where I'm going here. Are you counting on Karl Anthony Towns?
Well, I'm counting on Karl Anthony Towns to be the second best player in the same way that I'm counting on James Harden, who's repeatedly failed, to be the third best player. I think it's more fitting now. I think that last year there was probably some uncertainty about whose team it was. I don't think there's any uncertainty anymore. And in fact, it seems like those guys, and I know this can sound weird, but it seems like those guys like each other. Like I'm watching games, I'm watching body language. I don't think there's any they're harboring any animosity or jealousy or bitterness. Yep. Gobert with Towns, or Gobert or Towns with Edwards as the clear-cut alpha and franchise cornerstone. Agreed. And I think, I'll be honest with you, I've never been a proponent of, well, throw a fucking old guy on the roster and he'll help the guys behave. Mike Conley makes a difference, dude. I'll just say this. If he ran for president, I'd vote for Mike Conley. I would vote for Mike Conley as the president of the United States.
Today, right
This
now,
country? Hell yeah.
right now.
I can count on Mike Conley to keep a level head and go out and get good people to advise him more so than any of the other candidates, regardless of political affiliation.
Look.
Can we do this? How do we do? We got 15 people in this room. Would it be something if these 15 people told 15 people who told 15 people and Mike Conley was on the presidential ballot?
Let's do it. As long as we got a cabinet spot somewhere, that's all that matters.
Well, we started it all, so I'm sure he would. He knows where his bread is buttered.
You know.
There's no question. All right, so that's our. So let's just end it with this. This is our West. Biggest surprise, good, and then biggest surprise, bad in the West. Biggest surprise, good.
It's either okay.
35 games in. Biggest surprise. Like, who's ranked higher than you thought the most?
It's either OKC or Minnesota. I would say Minnesota being 1 is the biggest surprise.
Is more surprising than OKC 2?
Yeah. For
me, I would say OKC 2. OKC 2 seems like a reach. And that, by the way, this is how dumb and old I am and how bad I am at betting. I accidentally bet Oklahoma City over 44.5 wins twice. I bet the same bet twice on accident. It's going to work out in my favor. So double love for me. Number 1 for me would be OKC second. I think that's more of a surprise than Minnesota first because Minnesota, after all, they loaded up, and this is their last shot at it because of my understanding is the way that the salary cap works in their contract situation is that's it. This is it. After this, you can't do this again. You can't have the same team together. I may be wrong on that. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's right. And then worst performer that you suspected would be better.
Lakers, considering the fact that those two guys have been healthy.
Lakers over the Warriors.
Yeah, because we didn't. Yeah. We didn't think the Warriors were going to be a championship contender this year.
We didn't, but did we think they would be 11th?
It's a good point. I still think if you told me before the season, AD and LeBron are playing all the games and they're barely on the fringe of making the playoffs, I'd be like, no, you're stupid. That's dumb.
Yeah. I think for me, worst performing surprise, I'd like to pick the Suns because they're, in 8th, and I thought they would be top 3, but you can't expect them to be top 3 because you can't expect them to be healthy. So I'm not going to pick the Suns. I'm going to join you, and I'm going to pick the Lakers, man. Like, I just thought the Lakers, after last year and after Austin Reeves having a great summer and LeBron and AD playing all these games, the Lakers being in 10th is probably my biggest disappointment, biggest surprise in a negative perspective. So that's it, man. That's a wrap. That's the Western Conference. We got the Eastern Conference tomorrow. Mike Conley for president. Dyson Daniels for vice president.
No.
PJ Tucker.
Dyson Daniels with Draymond and Patrick Beverly on an island somewhere that nobody ever sees them again.
That's right. They could talk shit to each other right in their face. Boy, Dyson Daniels would be in a world of hurt if it was those three on an island. There would be nothing left of Dyson Daniels with those guys out there. He would want to just chop his ears off.
I don't have a problem with Dyson Daniels. I just don't.
I know you don't because you're a little bitch. You're a little bitch.
I don't care. He doesn't do anything to make me care. That's the
issue. You don't have the balls to say it because you're scared of the repercussions of bad mouthing Dyson Daniels.
No, and it really comes down to the fact that you are doing what you do, which is as brilliant as you are at finding the talent.
I pick something and go with it.
Like you just jumped on this dude who's averaging 6-2-1 and doesn't say a word. Now you can't stand him. I don't understand why.
It's not that I can't stand him. If I had an interview with Dyson Daniels and say, hey, look, between us, you're not good, right? And he's like, no, I'm really not that good. Yeah. That's one thing. And that might be the case. The problem is when I hear Kendrick Perkins and fill in the blank WNBA player, because he's 6'7" and playing point guard, trying to play point guard, tell me that he's an untouchable trade asset. He's an untouchable trade asset?
Does it have something to do with the fact that you have access to season tickets and he plays for the Pelicans?
That's another thing. Yeah, I got to watch him. That's why usually my most hated players in history have been on the Bucks. Yeah. Henson, John Henson, Dellavedova, PJ Tucker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
That's it. All right. That's it. Jacob says Wolves better hope Memphis doesn't sneak in. Don't worry, Memphis ain't sneaking in shit. Too far out. I don't know if you've noticed, but they're in 13th. They got to win like 70% of their games to get in. They're 10-22 14 games out of first. So there's 14 behind. But if they do sneak in, I see what you mean. They may jump in. Yes. And yes, David Trotter, Kendrick Perkins is an absolute fool. Some people find him entertaining. I do not, because I think that job could go to somebody who actually knows basketball. I get it. He played it, but he doesn't seem to know it very well. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. We're doing a live stream same time tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central Time. So if you're one of the 14 or 15 people that joined us today, we'd love to have you back tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Boom. Done.